I review a lot of mice on my channel, and it's for a good reason. Having not only a high performing, but a comfortable mouse can mean a world of difference. It doesn't matter if you're competing at DreamHack or if you're working your 9-to-5 office job. However, there is a peripheral that is quite often overlooked and is almost as important as the mouse. And believe it or not, it's the mousepad. Mousepads might not be as essential as they were 15 years ago when we were still using ball mice and optical mice were just entering the market, but having a high quality mousepad can make a world of difference. And I first really found out about this last year when I worked at DreamHack with Zowie, and they had all these different mousepads of different sizes, qualities, materials, finishes. And that's just one company. So it can be a bit overwhelming. So, if you're searching for your first quality gaming mousepad, or if you've been in the game for a while and you're looking for your next step, you may be interested in the Esports Tiger LongTeng HuoYun mousepad. Now when I'm looking at mousepads, the most important feature is the size. This is because if you have a big mousepad, you can have a low sensitivity and your accuracy will be a whole lot better. So how big is a HuoYun? It's 480 by 400 millimeters. I have a graphic up on the screen comparing this to other popular gaming mouse pads, but if you're just listening to the audio or you've never seen these particular pads in person, just know that this is on the larger side of things without delving into desk mat territory. And the thickness of this mouse pad is 4 millimeters, which is going to be right around your average size for high quality mouse pads. For those of you who don't know, there are two categories of mouse pads. There are control pads, which are going to be your cloth mouse pads. They're a little spongy feeling. You can sometimes feel the threading of the cloth, and these are just meant to give you more control over your mouse, especially with fast movements. With the other category, speed pads, these are going to be your hard plastic pads that are going to send your mouse flying with just a tiny flick. Strictly speaking, this is a cloth mouse pad. However, the surface has been coated in what their website calls micro-coated surface technology. The only reason I know what this is because of DreamHack. Basically what's going on here is that they've injected plastic onto a cloth mouse pad. What this is doing is offering a very nice middle ground between control and speed. Because it's a cloth pad, you have that very tiny bit of sponginess and texture so that you can keep control of your mouse, but thanks to the help of that plastic injection, your mouse just glides over it. And the entire mouse pad has a consistent texture, no matter if your mouse is moving vertically or horizontally. Now that may sound a little weird to point out, but some of you may not know this. On a lot of cloth mouse pads, even in premium ones, the threading is threaded horizontally. So the mouse pad feels really smooth going left to right, but rough top down. And a lot of Counter-Strike players actually look for this because they have to control recoil vertically while looking quickly left to right. However, this mousepad is completely smooth, top down, left, right. If I'm playing a game that has a lot of vertical movement like Quake or Team Fortress, then I can make that mousepad vertical and it will feel just the same. And while we're talking about feel, here's a small detail I noticed with this mouse that I really greatly appreciate. The threading around the edges is usually a sign of really good quality mousepads, but a lot of companies make their threading way too big. There was a mousepad I had a while back that threading was so thick that it would actually give me rug burn on my wrists whenever I flicked too hard. Thankfully, the threading is there to show that it is a quality mousepad, but it's so low profile, I've never even noticed it was there until I looked for it. While I'm talking about the surface of this mousepad, I have to address the elephant in the room, the design. When Daniel from Adis was telling me about this mousepad, all the specs sounded great, but looking at it, I was concerned that the red and blue would take away from my white and purple theme that I had going on. To some of you this isn't a big deal, but to those of you who spend an extra $50 for your USB cables to color match, you'll understand where I'm coming from, right? Thankfully, this mousepad looks so much better in person. Because of the quarantine, I have to record all this on my phone, and I wish I could go get a better camera. But this looks so much better. There's a very generous amount of purple in the middle between the blue and red. There's no wall like it kind of looks like on the website. And I guess at the end of the day, it does kind of complement the whole weeb aesthetic I have going on. Objectively speaking, this is a very well printed design. The lines are sharp, the colors are vivid, and after 3 weeks of really heavy use, there's no smudging or discoloration. Subjectively though, it is a very loud design, so you may turn some heads at your office job. And while we're talking about the design, something I really admire that Tiger Esports did with this mousepad is how they handled their branding. On a lot of gaming mousepads, companies will put their logo on the mousepad and it'll be loud, distracting, or just plain ugly. What Tiger Esports did was they printed their company name and it looks like a signature for the artwork. I like minimalism like that, even though my wall is covered in art prints. I think it's very well done. Now, a lot of people think having colorful, complex design like this on a mousepad will mess up the mouse's sensor. And this was true 15 to 20 years ago when laser and optical mice were first being brought into the market. Today, it's not going to happen. I use this mouse for 12 hours a day at least for work and for gaming. And over the course of 3 weeks, my mouse has never had any issues tracking. Now, as important as the top of the mousepad is, arguably what's more important is the bottom of the mousepad, because it doesn't matter how well your mousepad performs if it's sliding all over the place since it can't grip your desk. Most of the thickness from the LongTeng HuoYun comes from its thick rubber base, and after hours of use for the past 3 weeks, it's barely shifted an inch. This was something I was actually really worried about, considering my $90 artisan mousepad slid all over the place. I'd have to spray the desk with water to get the rubber to grip. It was ridiculous. Yeah, that's right, $90 mousepad, which makes this whole thing unfair considering the LongTeng HuoYun's only $35. It's a third of the price for a top performing quality large mousepad that is probably going to last for a while. The only two complaints with this mousepad is that it comes rolled up, and that's just because I hate having the issue of trying to flatten out the mousepad. The LongTeng didn't have any warping issues and it flattened out after the first day. And my second complaint being the design. It's not that I don't like it, I just wish that there were more options. So if everything I said today sounded good, you can find this mousepad at dsync.com, link in the description. If you have any questions about the mousepad, about me, about the channel, about product recommendations, about, I don't know, whatever you want to chat about, leave it in the comments. You guys in this circle are really fun to talk with, so I try to reply to as many comments as I can. I love meeting you guys, and I really hope to see you in the next video.